Hey everybody, it's James Detroit. Thanks for joining me. I do appreciate you taking time to spend listening to my worldview, my opinion. Let's get right into the hottest topic of the day, and that is whether or not we have election integrity. I need to be able to believe that Michigan voted for Biden. It's difficult for me to believe. I'm going to restate some of the things that we know to be true. In 2016, we had a lot of enthusiasm for Donald Trump in this state. And according to that election result, we had a 2 or 3 percentage point victory for Donald Trump, maybe 1.5%. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a win. This state voted for Donald Trump. And as close as that was, and as difficult for me to believe it, the city centers do have a larger population, but it was only like 4 or 5 counties that actually voted for Hillary Clinton, and the rest of the state voted for Donald Trump. More enthusiasm in 2020 than in 2016. If you look at yard signs as an example, if you look at people that were showing up at rallies, the momentum and the popularity of anybody that showed up in the state of Michigan for Donald Trump far exceeded anybody that showed up for Joe Biden in Michigan. And yet they're going to tell us that this voting machine, these electronic voting machines, it was just a glitch that an entire county flipped from 2016 to 2020. And then they say, oh, but we caught it. And that was only 6,000 votes. So don't look over here. This is no big deal. And then they say that, oh, well, no, it wasn't a glitch. It was human error. And so with that human error, we also have a law in the state of Michigan that says that, and it's in every state actually in our union, but in Michigan, we're supposed to have bipartisan transparency. If I'm a conservative or if I'm a registered Republican and you are a registered Democrat, we can watch together the counting of the votes. And yet there's not one, there's not two, there's multiple, and it's going to continue to grow. People that live in this state are putting their lives on the line, the lives of their children, their family members on the line. They're willing to risk repercussions from evil people signing affidavits to swear in a court of law that what they saw was voter fraud, ballots showing up, being told by their superiors to predate, separate so they could hand stamp that these votes, nobody knows where they came from, signatures aren't being matched. We have people, and I do not think that it's a coincidence. A conservative teacher shows up to vote and he's told he already voted. That's not one. That's not two. There are multiple people in this state that have experienced the same anomaly. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is going to win after recanvassing and recounting. What I am going to say is a minimum of 70 million people in this country voted for Donald Trump to be reelected, the highest vote total ever. And I believe that that number is reflective of suppression. And when you say, well, in Michigan, it's 140,000 votes, he can't make that up. Well, not so fast. If and there are strong indications of voter fraud. For every point that Biden gets that was supposed to go to Trump, you only need 70,000 And you say, well, that's still a big number. It's not worth a recount. It's not worth recanvassing. When you only have 5 counties that voted for Hillary Clinton, and similarly, you only have 5 counties that voted for Joe Biden, you're going to tell me that I need to concede, that I need to suck it up? I want the legitimacy. I want the legitimacy of our foundation as a constitutional republic to be preserved through this process. I want to be assured that the people in my state that I deal with on a regular basis, that I'm driving down the expressway next to, regardless if you have a Biden-Harris sticker on your bumper or not, you should want the same thing that I want, is that we believe that the process was correct. And it's not just anomalies, and it's not just one thing here or one thing there, and this was a computer glitch, or this was just one example of human error. In the state of Michigan, we have real evidence, smoking gun, voter fraud. And all of us in Michigan, we know that Detroit has been corrupt for years. When I was a kid and we were living in Pontiac, I used to watch my grandpa just get so mad when he would see Coleman Young get on the television. And of course, that, Detroit stations was all we had back then. And Coleman Young, I didn't understand the legacy of corruption that Coleman Young until I became a history major. And for all of us that live in the state of Michigan, we know what has gone on. There's a reason why a twice elected mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick of Detroit, has gone to the federal penitentiary. These things, I'm not making it up, and I'm not being racist by saying it. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. The city of Detroit has been corrupt for years. And there's a reason why many of us moved out of the city. And yet, to some extent, it's our largest city, and we are all, there's some connectivity to it for all of us, as goes Detroit, the bankruptcy and everything else, the first major city to actually go bankrupt. I mean, these are things that are indisputable. I do not want this election, regardless if Joe Biden really did get the votes. Legal, legitimate votes are the ones that need to be counted. Now, apparently, the DOJ and Barr has sent the feds in to investigate. I doubt we will get that dog has no teeth left. If it's possible for that dog to gum the process to death, then I guess he'll do it. But there's no bite in that whatsoever. I do believe that there are legitimate questions in Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia about the legitimacy of this process. We need to let it play out. And we need to make sure we're getting our information from news sources that don't just have our worldview, but are actually trying to report the truth. When I see Joe Biden standing in front of a screen that says the office of president-elect, and I thought to myself, well, when did they create that? Well, that's just it. They just created that to try, and these are not subtle nuances to try to convince you of something, to condition your mind. These are overt efforts to make you think what you're seeing is real, and it's not real. There is no office of president-elect. It doesn't exist. They're creating it right now and trying to convince you that it's something legitimate. Sort of like the election. If you have nothing to hide, if you are watching this and you think I'm crazy, my worldview is wrong, if you voted for Joe Biden and you want to tell me, then call me. Then send me a message through this process. But I got to believe you want the legitimacy of this. You want the recanvassing. You want that it is a recount so that you can say, look, we proved that it was legitimate. And at that point, you'd have a fellow citizen that would say, okay, I don't like some of the stuff that's happened, but after the process, I'm going to say, yeah, all right, so we can live as fellow citizens going down the same expressway, living in the same neighborhoods. But at this point, when you keep telling me there's nothing going on here, again, I love movies, great movie, The Outlaw Josey Wales. And when Fletcher says, don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining, that's what you're doing right now. I do not think it's a coincidence that in each of these states, Democratic governors, Democratic secretaries of state are trying to tell us, no, this is totally legitimate. Everything is on the up and up. You don't need to look at these votes. You don't need to. You're in the building. Therefore, we have the representation we need. I don't care if you're in Cobo Hall and you're in 150 yards away. You're in the building. No, the votes that you and I count together, and etc. at every table. It's not by accident that in every one of these states, it's a Democratic governor, Democratic secretary of state, and they're saying, and almost always a Democratic attorney general. And because again, you didn't have to do this across the board. You just needed to do it in 5 or 6 states in order to swing the Electoral College. Last minute election laws. So there are things that we need to look at. The legitimacy of this election needs to be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Or the divisiveness in this country, when Joe Biden is said, hey, it's time to heal now. You're not going to heal this open wound unless it's addressed through the process. And thankfully, the Constitution requires that the states, so this is where I'm asking for Representative Horn, for Representative Daley in the state of Michigan, and many other Michigan House reps that have been fighting against the tyranny of this governor. We need you to step up and perform your constitutional duties. I don't believe much in the Department of Justice and Bill Barr. I think he's old swamp. But he sent the feds in here. I'm praying, and I'm spending a lot of time doing that. I'm praying because this Constitution, it doesn't just it doesn't just live out its creative purposes without human involvement. The same thing with the will of God. We are here for a time such as this to perform the next right duty. We need to make sure that we're holding our state officials accountable for doing their constitutional duty. Reach out to them. Send them a text. Send them an email. Make a phone call to them. Tell them you're watching. You need them to do the next right thing. That's all I got for you right now. Got to jump in here, get back into work. It's a busy day. I'm sure many of you are working as well. Thanks for joining me. I'm James Detroit, and for now, I'm out.